Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Regina Lawless, and today's video is about the 2025 spiritual themes we should all be aware of. The overall theme for 2025 is washing away sandcastles. Now, before I dive into what that even means, I wanted to take it back, give you a little backstory of who I am and why I'm even sitting here talking to you about this message. So, really quickly, I used to be a corporate executive. That was my day job. I had been in the HR profession for almost 20 years and worked my way up the corporate ladder, was living a regular life in the suburbs, raising my son. I was married to my partner 21 years. And then in 2021, out of the blue, my husband had a heart attack and passed away. As you can imagine, completely devastating, changed my life in ways that I can't even explain. One of the things that came out of that grief and that pain is a spiritual awakening. So through my grief, I began really searching for not only the meaning of life, but what am I meant to do? What is my purpose? What am I here for? Especially after losing someone who was not only my husband, but my best friend. We met when I was 18 years old. So someone who I had spent my entire life, or my entire adult life rather, up to that point with. And so I was very disillusioned, and so just began searching and seeking. And I was always someone who had faith. I grew up in the church. I grew up Baptist, so Christian. But at some point, the religion I had grown up with didn't really have all the answers that I was seeking. And so I learned through my journey that I needed to seek those answers from within. And so I began during the pandemic, actually, before my husband even died, I started to dabble in yoga and meditation. And after he died, those things were even more of a comfort and provided me more direction and clarity than I could even imagine. And so today I am faithful in my yoga and meditation practice. And so much so, I'm actually studying to be a yoga teacher. So more on that. I'm sure I'll have some videos where I'll be teaching y'all some yoga postures and breath work and all the things. But the other thing that really came through my yoga and meditation is connecting with myself spiritually and learning to tap into my deep intuition and even being able to connect with and tap into my spirit guides. And so this message is a download from my spiritual team. End of 2024, I started to really ask what was coming up, because by then I'm based in the US. By then we had already had the results of the presidential election. There were already starting to be signs of a lot of turmoil in 2025. And so I sat in meditation. In my process, I used to just meditate to clear my mind or focus. And now I meditate and I commune with spirit, or I ask to connect with my ancestors. And so I get these beautiful messages of encouragement and also wisdom. And sometimes the wisdom is for me. And sometimes it is messages for the collective, which is what I'm going to be sharing today. So um, I went into meditation in December, and I actually have the date. I'm looking at my notes. I have them handy because I didn't want to over prepare. I wanted to really just speak from my notes. My process is when I meditate, I always have a notepad and pen handy. I used to try to remember the messages, but now they're coming through. So clear, so thorough that it's impossible for me to remember everything. So I like to write down. So on December 25th, actually, or December 26th, rather, the day after Christmas, I had asked for what are the themes? What should we be paying attention to? What do I need to know? What does the collective need to know for 2025? And so the overarching theme that came through is washing away sandcastles. And when I talk to you about the sub themes, there are 5 sub themes. I think that theme will hopefully make more sense. The first sub theme that came through for 2025 is false selves crumbling. So false selves will crumble. And I think we're already starting to see that. I interpret this message in two ways. I think that we are going to see people who are in positions of power who are not being authentic to who they really are, who are wearing a persona, who have been trying to mislead and misdirect the public for a very long time. I think that those personas, those people, that those false masks, those false ideals, even that they've been spreading, will start to crumble. And I think we're already seeing that. We're seeing that in the political sphere. We are seeing that in our celebrity culture. We are seeing that in our businesses, corporations. We are seeing people that we thought were one thing actually be something else. And so that theme will continue through 2025, that the false self also can be considered the ego. This is the personality that we present, not our spiritual self, not our soul nature. These false ideals, these false masks, or these characters even, are going to continue to fall away. And that goes for ourselves as well. And so I've seen that even in my own life. I told y'all at the beginning of this video that I was in corporate for almost 20 years, and that was the persona that I had. That's who I thought I was. I thought I was a, corporate leader. I thought I was a wife, a mother, all of these roles and titles and things. And it became more and more uncomfortable for me to live outside of my truth, because deep down inside, Spirit has been guiding me to this, to really come to terms with my spiritual gifts and my ability to not only heal myself, but use the lessons and the wisdom that I've gained throughout my life, particularly in the last 4 years of going through this spiritual awakening, use those gifts to help other people. And so my own false self, my own ego of all of the titles and the things and all the things I had worked to build myself up as, that has had to crumble so I can come back to who I really am at my core. And it's been a painful experience. And I think it's going to be a painful experience for many of us, but it's necessary. And I'm grateful that I've come through. I'm still on my journey, of course, as we all are. I think every day you wake up and draw breath, you're on a journey to evolve. But that false sense of who I was is no longer. So false selves will crumble in 2025. The other message, honesty and integrity will prevail. And this seems probably unbelievable because we see so much turmoil right now and so much, not only vitriol, but so much, I would say, misinformation and disinformation. I think we are in the era of a lot of chaos, but that chaos is meant to obscure and to hide the truth. There are so many things that have been hidden from our awareness for decades, for longer than that, really. But those things are starting to come to an end. And it goes back to that initial theme I shared with you all of false selves crumbling. Part of that false nature of things coming to an end or falling is so that honesty, so that truth, so that authenticity can prevail. And I don't know about you, but I am starting to be able to really see through people who are not being in integrity with who they really are, or who are not in integrity with truth or just being real. There are a lot of people, and for the longest time, I think as a society, we were encouraged to not be authentic. We were encouraged to be perfect and post what gets likes, post what gets engagement, to only show our best selves, to not be real and raw and let people know that we're going through it and it's not okay. But now is the time, because it's not okay. Things are not okay. Many people are not okay. And I think this year will be the year for that honesty to come out and for us to look around and say that as a society, we are not okay. When this many people are going hungry, when this many people are at war with each other, when this many people are divided, when this many people don't have and a whole group of people do have, when we are in such inner turmoil as a society and within ourselves because we are battling our own nature, that cannot continue. That is not sustainable. And we've seen that. That's why, as a society, so many things are coming off the rails because it is not sustainable, because it is built on falsehood, it is built on um, untruths. And so 2025 will be a year that we start to be honest with ourselves about who we really are and who we want to be, both as individuals and as a society. So the other theme that will emerge this year is light leaders. And I think it's a perfect follow on to the second theme of honesty will prevail. What I mean by light leaders are people who are coming forth to lead us to the light. And by light, I mean to the truth, to source, to love and compassion, to our highest nature. So there are a lot of folks that are in positions of power right now who are not leading us to light. They are leading us to darkness because they are struggling with their own inner darkness. They have not come to terms with their own light and their own spiritual nature. So there are people who are leading us to division, to separation, to hatred, to greed, to power, because those are the things that they crave because they are focused on the external gains and not focused on what is for their own highest good and what is for the highest good of the collective. And so we're going to see a very different type of leader come forth. And that's why my guides have described them as light leaders. We will see people that are going to come forward that are more focused on the collective. I think there will be more women that come forward to lead, that bring in this leadership that is based more on the divine feminine energy, which is an energy of greater intuition, compassion, love. It's heart centered. It is internally focused. It is about being and not doing all the time. It is about nurturing. So we are going to start to see more of that type of leadership, more of a collective strength, not this focused on individual achievement above all else. So light leaders is another theme that we're going to see for 2025. Another theme that came through from my guides is trust your gifts. And this message, I think, was as much for me as it is for all of us. So for me, I had been really struggling with my business. I am a coach, I am a consultant, and I have been focusing on leadership coaching and consulting and doing more of what I know in the corporate realm. That's what is comfortable to me. But I have been dragged kicking and screaming out of the spiritual closet. And I'll be honest, like even doing this video is something that I had to force myself to do because this is not my profession. I have a bachelor's in communications and I was in HR my entire career, like I mentioned. And so I've always had a heart for helping people and I have such deep compassion for people, but I never saw myself as a spiritual teacher or even a light leader myself or trying to usher in this era of more light on our planet and in our society. So this is not something that I saw myself doing, but it is very clear to me that I can't ignore my spiritual gifts. I am receiving these messages. I am being called to this work for a reason. I know that this is my purpose and this is my mission. And when you don't use your gifts, not only do they start to fade, or they can atrophy like anything. If you don't use it, it can start to weaken. And so I think it's really important for us all to lean in to use our gifts. But more importantly, I'm coming forth to use my gifts because when I don't use my gifts, things are a lot harder. And I found that out in my life. That's part of why I ended up leaving corporate, is because I felt that there was an enormous well of creativity and innovation and compassion. There were all these things that come innate to me that I wasn't able to use in my day to day corporate job. And it made me miserable. If I'm being honest, I was just going through the motions and I didn't feel like I was doing anything meaningful, even though I'm sure I was helping someone, but I didn't feel that I was doing what was meant for me to be doing. And so, this theme of using your gifts, I know without a shadow of a doubt that using your gifts, even though it's scary, like it is for me to be doing this video right now, it feels aligned. I feel like I am on my purpose. And I don't know what this is going to bring for me, but I know I am happier and more fulfilled in my life than I have ever been. And so I have enough wisdom and enough lived experience to know that it doesn't go well when I'm not using my gifts and when I'm not following my heart. It goes a lot better when I am. So I think for all of us, the theme that my guides are sharing, I think is one that we all need to lean into. And so for you, maybe you're seeing this video because maybe you too have some spiritual gifts. We all have the ability to attune to our deeper intuition. We all have the ability to communicate with spirit. Spirit is all around us, whether that be your loved ones who have passed on, whether is your spirit guides, your guardian angels. There is an entire spiritual team that is around us. Each and every one of us is never alone. It's whether you choose to believe and open yourself to that guidance and what you do with it. And so we all have spiritual gifts. I've learned that things are far outside of my logic. There are so many things that I can't possibly begin to understand as a human. And I learned that through the death of my husband. Before my husband, I would consider myself very intellectual, very logical. But I learned through that there are so many more things beyond the logical mind. And I think deep down inside, you know that as well. That's why you're watching this video. And so I would encourage you to tap into your spiritual gifts and listen to your intuition and begin to cultivate what it is you're meant to do. And I assure you, if you sit still enough with yourself, those answers will start to come forward. Those gifts will start to come online. And so the last theme for the 2025 year that came through for me was soul evolution. And so this one is a little bit more maybe complex to understand. Complex may not be the word, maybe a little bit more esoteric, I guess I would say. So, what came through from my guides, and I'm going to read this one a little bit more verbatim because I don't want to misconstrue what they've said to me. But essentially, the message is there is a galactic war for our soul's evolution, and that we as an earth are evolving back into the sun. And what does the sun represent? The sun represents light. And so it goes with that theme that was shared around light leaders and honesty and integrity prevailing. Those are all representations of light. And so they also said that other galaxies, other worlds want us to win and be at peace. And so that might be a record scratch for you. Like, what are you talking about? Other galaxies, other worlds? Well, we already know, at least it's been brought to our attention, that there are other worlds, there are other galaxies. Our own government testified in, I think, late 2024 that there are unidentified phenomenon that is out there. They have unidentified biologics, I think is how they refer to it. So we know that there is more out there and that we are not being fully told what those things are. And so what my guides are telling me is that all will be revealed, that there will be a unveiling. Some people in the spiritual community call this disclosure, that we are not alone in the galaxy, that there are other beings out there, which makes sense, like on a spiritual sense. That makes sense to me. And so what my guides are saying is that with that, because so many things have been hidden from us, that we will go through this cycle of really questioning and grieving. And I think that grieving is already beginning. People are starting to realize, wait, the world that I thought is not what I thought it was. That the institutions that we've come to rely on are crumbling. We are starting to see the cracks in the foundation, that, wait a minute, like, we are starting to see the cracks in the matrix, that this is not what we thought it was. And so that will continue, and we will begin to grieve and question. And ultimately, what my guides have said here is that there will be a big remembering of who we are as celestial beings. With that will come a return to our spiritual nature. And they said that Earth is on its way. And so that is the message that my guides communicated to me, that this process has already begun. Earth is already evolving. And in the spiritual realms, they are cheering for us because they know that we have suffered under darkness for too long. And I asked, because I was curious, why have we lived so long in fear and separation and darkness on this planet? And what they told me is that all the forces behind us, that darkness is fading. It was allowed to reign to teach us lessons of peace, forgiveness, strength, and our shadows. And that makes sense to me if you zoom out and look at the whole purpose of our lives here on earth being one, to evolve. We are here to experience what it means to be in human form, because as spirit, we don't experience pain. We don't experience separation. We know we are one. We know we are of the same source, of the same energy. But here on earth, we come down into these physical bodies and we forget who we are as spiritual beings. We forget the power. We forget the divinity that we are. And that serves a purpose. It allows us to learn. The way we learn best is through pain, through painful experiences. That is usually our best teacher. And so, through this experience of darkness, through understanding intimately what we are not, we come to understand then that we are peace, forgiveness, strength. But a lot of times we have to go through the experience of learning the hard way. We have to go through the loss of things, the loss of identity, the loss of loved ones, the loss of opportunities, all of these things. If we really stay with it and work through the pain, then you discover going through that who you truly are. And I'm sure you can think of a circumstance in your life that you've went through that was painful, but in hindsight, you're like, ooh, okay, I learned what not to do. I learned that I'm stronger than that thing. And so from my understanding, what I take away from what my guides are saying, we've been in this big cosmic experiment so that we can evolve as individual souls, but as a collective, so that we can evolve back into source, into light. And so that's a lot. I'm still processing these messages myself, and if you've made it this far in this video, it tells me that there's something there that you too believe in terms of our spiritual nature. If you don't believe, that's okay too, because my goal with this video and the future videos I'll do is not to convert or convince. I am simply just being a faithful servant to my purpose, to my mission, which has been made clear to me, that I am here to be of service to the collective, that I am here to help other people heal what's on their heart and come home to themselves and stand in their divinity so that they can live their truest expression in this lifetime. And so that's my hope for this video and the ones I will continue to do. If you like this, please leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. My goal is to do more of these and just share what I am being given, what is being downloaded to me to share, and just to be a beacon of light and hope that everything in the end will be okay. It may not seem like it now. There's a lot of chaos going on in the world. As I started this video, sandcastles are washing away. And that can be painful, that can be jarring, that can be disorienting. But it is meant, all of this chaos is meant to bring us back home to ourselves. So I encourage you to find some time and space to be with yourself and find your own true north. It's there, and it's meant for you to come back to it and lead yourself out of whatever darkness you might be experiencing. Source is with you. Your spirit guides are with you. I am with you in love and light. Take care.